So, Factorio, we've got a couple of scenarios that I'm going to be speedrunning, but I figure I should talk about what those scenarios are and how they differ from the base game while we're not speedrunning, so we can talk about what we have and click through things and stuff like that. Starting with wave defense, we don't need to worry about the map now, it's fine. We start with a lot of stuff on wave defense, much more than we usually start with, and a lot of things that we don't usually have access to. We've got a rocket silo, that's fine. Yeah, we've already got all the techs unlocked, and we've got weird mixes of stuff at different tech levels. Like, we've got all 3 tech levels of furnaces, but 8 isn't really a good number of electric furnaces to be able to do anything with, even though it's the highest tier. We've got a good kickstarted power grid, that's a big power grid to start a game with, and then highest tier of assembly machines, and we've got 8, and we can't build those for ages, so we've got to figure out what we're going to do with those. We also don't have to unlock oil refining. We've got all the infrastructure for that if we wanted to do that. So, interesting strategic questions. We also have a suit of armor that base Factorio doesn't start with. Factorio has a damage system like old school Fallout. The first number is just ignore that many, just base mitigation. The percentage is then resistance after that many. Legs make us go fast, which is great. This suit is solar powered, which is not fantastic, but we do have a personal roboport with a capacity of 25 robots, and they've given us 10 robots, so that's also a bit suboptimal. That's fine, but it means we can skip the manual lumberjack phase. We can just go straight to having construction robots do things for us, no punching trees. We've got a silo, so we don't have to build the silo. It's not powered at the moment, but that's fine. The other big thing that's different, very different from normal Factorio, is we start with a perimeter. So we'll go and have a look at the perimeter. It's pretty basic. There are a couple of guns, a couple of walls. All of the guns have 50 ammo, which is pretty good. They do 5 damage. We have none of the damage upgrades. Walls are pretty tough. Gates, also going to do gate things, that's fine. Just outside the gates, you might have noticed this on the minimap already, all around us are the spawners and biters that do the Starship Troopers thing and send the insects at us that will try and tear through the walls and chew on the gun turrets and eventually go after the silo, and they're on all sides. We can even see them in the fog of war. You'll also notice that the entire perimeter is visible even without radar, so that's great. But we're going to get attacked from every direction, and we've got this little bit of a wall that we're going to have to do something about. The attacks start pretty light with the small biters. Then, the damage upgrade system doesn't work the same way as base Factorio. In base Factorio, you have to research all the damage upgrades. Here we get them by points that we get from pushing biter bases. So when we destroy the nests and worms, we get points. We can exchange those for damage upgrades, and we're going to need to. So there's a day-night cycle. Each night we get attacked. Each night the attacks get slightly worse, and this doesn't seem to respond to pollution. Not entirely sure on how it works yet. But the attacks get slightly worse. For days 1 to 4, they'll pretty much take care of themselves. 6 and 7, they will have real issues if we don't figure out how to build some kind of defense starting from this kind of stuff. But exactly what is the interesting question, and how. And then the end goal is building a rocket and launching a rocket, but we also have to make sure that the base isn't chewed before that point. So it's night now. Our dude has his little flashlight out. Let's see if we can watch an attack arrive. So they're coming in towards the silo, which is why they're angling down there, and the guns are pretty happy for day 1, but it is everywhere. And some places we're taking damage, just a little bit, it's fine. But the other interesting thing is it's quite a large perimeter in terms of bases it would have to defend, so that's going to be a challenge as well. Do we sacrifice some of our area in order to have less to defend? Do we try and bolster the defenses we already have, or do we build new defenses? Yeah, variety of interesting questions. So I think the thing I like about wave defense is it's not clear the best way to do stuff, because you start with so many options, and there are a variety of things you have to deal with that you don't normally have to deal with, and tools that you get earlier in the game that you usually don't have access to until later. But yeah, we don't have to build the silo, we have to build everything to make the rocket in the silo, and that's wave defense. After that, let's have a look at Rocket Rush, which is going to be kind of similar, but not. Yeah, we also start with all of the technologies unlocked, and the goal is also to build a rocket, and we also don't need to worry about a map now. But in Rocket Rush, we have pretty much control over which equipment we start with. We have a certain allocation of these coin things. Can't take the chest, which is a shame. But we just buy whichever things we want, and again, everything is unlocked. We also will have a look at the armor at the moment. We start with construction robots, which makes things a bunch easier. We can even buy fuel sources. We can even buy the rocket parts that we would have to manufacture, which is like, we're not going to do that because we need so much more of them. But it's, yeah, normal Factorio, you don't get to start with 4 stacks of solid fuel if you want that. You have to, manufacture that a lot later in the process. The rocket fuel and the low density structure and the control units that we need to make the rocket are available, but we're not going to buy them because we need a lot more of them. But again, we can get, if we want to, we can get weird mixes of technology levels of stuff. That also means, like wave defense, the base we build doesn't have to produce all the research that a normal Factorio base has to build. All we have to build is the rocket components, so that's going to make the base a lot easier and a lot smaller and simplify a number of things. In this situation we have, yeah, I'm never going to use that trash gun, that gun is trash. But we have a rocket launcher, and we have a different suit of armor that's actually the next grade up. And this one is also partly solar powered, and yeah, slightly better damage stats. But the big deal is the fusion reactor. That will give us a lot more energy for the bots to go and do their personal robot things, and also energy shields, which will make us a bit tougher. Yeah, the combat in Rocket Rush is going to be pretty easy, and again, we've got the legs. So yeah, there's probably going to end up an optimal route of things that we want to buy to do Rocket Rush well. And like wave defense has the thing where you start with the collection of stuff that they give you for wave defense, and you've got to figure out that puzzle of how to leverage those things well. In Rocket Rush we can pick up pretty much anything I want, so I'm gonna grab 70 electric miners. Is like, being able to start with 70 electric miners is pretty ridiculous. But you can have, quite a lot of starting stuff. And unlike wave defense, this is the stuff that I want to start with, that I know I can bootstrap into a fairly effective base fairly quickly. Yeah, we're going to take a lot of inserters and then a lot of belt, and oh yeah, that's a fun trick we'll talk about later as well. But now I've got, quite a lot of stuff, and it's the stuff that I want. And so this is a phase at the beginning of Rocket Rush that I think will get counted in the speedrun time, because it's after the map preview, but like it's within that game. We're kind of using the same rule set as default settings, where the timer goes from map preview to the rocket launch. Anyway, we won't do it down here. We stand on the thing. We're now on a regular Factorio map. So from here, we just got to launch a rocket. We don't have a silo. We have to build the rocket silo. Then we have to build all the things that go in the rocket silo. But other than that, it's a pretty normal Factorio map. We've got some trees. We can do the personal robot things rather than doing the lumberjack stuff. We've got our resource patches that we have to mine. We're going to have to look for oil. We have cliffs. Wave defense actually doesn't have cliffs. I didn't mention that. We also have all of the technology unlocked, but unlike wave defense, we have the normal damage upgrades already done for us, up to like projectile damage 6. Yeah, the numbers are slightly weird. The wave defense tech levels don't correlate to the standard research tech levels, but let's have a look at this gun that I said was trash. We've got the red ammo, which is 8 base damage instead of 5 base damage, but this gun does, okay, with our bonuses it does 20 damage. Sure, is that good? Let's have a look at the turret. 8 base damage and 60 total damage. Okay, so the gun turret's just better. This is why I'm never going to use the submachine gun, because the gun turrets are just better. The way they work in a kind of weird way, the gun turrets benefit from the upgrades twice. And you can also do stuff like this by putting them on the hotbar and being good by pressing numbers and mechanics. You can load them really quickly, and now that's a lot more damage output on the field than a submachine gun. And then more tricks like that, which we'll talk about later, using the personal robot to pick them up quickly. Yeah, so one of the things, because we get to choose whatever we want from all of the starting equipment, yeah, we have to work our way up to the rocket parts, but we don't have to unlock or research them or anything like that. We just have to gather the resources. And yeah, a bunch of combat options we're probably not going to use. But other than that, it's a normal Factorio map. We don't start with any other defenses. We could get a car, so we did, because that's good for going fast. So we'll see if we can find some biters to have a talk about them. They are spawned in the same way as on usual maps, so I think it's less than wave defense, but the attacks are also pollution based, and the evolution is also pollution and time based in the same way, although we start with a lot of stuff and they start, if this guy will hold still, we start with the big biters. So I mean, their physical resistance there, 8 flat damage. The guns that did 5, are not going to do much. Fortunately, we've got all the upgrades. But yeah, we have to worry about our pollution cloud because the biters won't like it. We have to make a rocket. We have to do whatever kind of defense stuff we will, but it will be a more normal speedrun defense rather than rocket rush. Although, okay, so yeah, the combat's going to be weird. Yeah, those are wave defense and rocket rush. Now we can speedrun them. We kind of know what we're doing. Let's go.